This conference will now be recorded.
I think in this team, only Harini is having some prior knowledge on database, that is Oracle, right? Except Harini, anyone else has any experience or any idea about database? Like,
Yes, sir. I think I have.
at least, do you know what does it mean by
Yeah, we
table?
learned intermediate, sir. Intermediate, I have learned it.
What did you learn?
SQL commands, sir.
SQL only. Okay, so you know
So
what is
I
it.
have the very basic knowledge. So
So at least you know what is the table database views, right?
yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay, great. How about others? No response? No idea. Okay, no idea. No problem. Okay. Database, as its name is telling you, it's a collection of data. Okay. In a structured format, we can say. It's a collection of data in a structured format. I think I have a presentation. Let me check. Till now, we are seeing examples like user management system, inventory management system, couple of examples we have seen. Those examples, if you understand those examples, when I am when till my program is live, it is executing until I exit the loop, the data is available. Once if I start the program, once if I stop the program and restart the program again, it is losing the data. Why it is losing the data? We are storing the data in temporary storage, temporary location. That is nothing but our variables. In the variables are data collections are also nothing but variables, right? So in the variables, we are temporarily storing the data. So until the program is live, until the program is executing, the data will be available for you. Once you close the program, the data will be lost. Okay. So if you want to keep the data, there are different ways. You can store the data in files. You can store the data into database. There are two options. Files, storing the data in files is also possible. You can use file handling system or Excel handling related code. You can write some code and you can store the data into Excel sheets or files. That is fine. Okay, but each individual file, if you are managing, it would be difficult for you to get some reports or to identify the relationship between different data sets. That would be a big problem for you. So you have one set of data of employees, for example, you stored in one Excel file, and another set of data like departments in another Excel file, and some sales in another Excel file. Like that, if you are trying to store, you want to see some consolidated information based on employee, department, and location or sales. What are the tables you have? It would be a difficult thing for you. If you have a common repository, common location where you can store the data, that would be easy for you in many ways. Okay, so for that purpose, we use database applications. Okay, in order to understand what is database, you need to understand what is front-end application and what is back-end application. Front-end application means the application where user will interact. Okay, you can consider any technology like .NET, Java, PHP, Python, any technology. Using those web application development technologies, we write the front-end applications. If you give that to the user, they will just interact with that UI part, that front-end part. If you consider any Gmail or Facebook, I don't require to have the SQL knowledge, okay, database knowledge in order to create my user account. If I want to create an account in Gmail, I can just go to gmail.com and I can choose an option called create an account. I'll provide the details like username, password, alternative username, and my phone number, I'll provide them, and I'll click on create, so that in the background the program will interact with the database and it will create the tables, or it will create my user profile. I don't need to have any SQL, I don't need to have any database related knowledge, right? So that is known as a front-end application. The whatever applications users are experiencing, that is the front-end applications. Okay, two reasons: end user don't need to have the knowledge on the database. He can just click on the buttons, interact with the screen, he can perform his operations. That is one thing. And another thing is security. If you are giving access to your database to everyone, it's a big problem. They can mess it up. So they can update, they can delete, they can steal your data. Okay, so for security reasons also, we don't share anything like database access and all to end users. Okay, they will interact with the front end application, and there will be one backend application like a database. So there are different databases. We have Oracle, we have MySQL, we have SQL Server, we have now there are so many new things came, MongoDB, NoSQL, like that. So many things are there. You can use any of the database in the as a backend application. Okay, we have two things: front-end application and backend application. Front-end application is used for the end user. He can interact with the front-end application. Backend application means the database application. It is used to store your data. Okay. Now, what is database? Simple. It's a meaningful or processed collection of data. Okay, instead of storing the raw data, it is little organized way. Okay, we'll see one example of table. If you remember the table, those who have already an idea, so the data will be in rows and columns. So you can understand the data very easily by seeing that, okay, how many students are there, for example, what are the average scores they are getting. So it is so organized, it is well organized data. Next, we need to understand what is SQL. Okay, SQL means structured query language. Okay, it is like English like query language. So in the backend, your data will be stored. In order to interact with your data, we need to have one language. That language is nothing but SQL. Some people call it as SQL, some people call it as SQL. Okay, it's basically a structured query language. So simply we will write some queries to interact with the database. So those queries are like using those queries, you can insert data, you can create tables, you can retrieve data, you can perform different operations. Okay. RDBMS, of course, all the databases, all the modern databases we are using nowadays, they are nothing but RDBMS. Okay, relational database management systems. So we can establish different relations between different tables, and we can retrieve data with a combination of tables using different queries. Okay, let us see SQL Server. So I have installed SQL Server already into my machine. In order to open that, I'm saying SQL Server Management Studio. I need to open Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, it may take a while. You can go to search and you can search for SQL Server Management Studio, or there is one shortcut for this. Go to Run menu, SSMS. Okay, SSMS means SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so when you click SQL Server Management Studio SSMS and OK, it will open the database for you. Okay. Not the database, in fact, it will open the management studio for you. So this is one studio, like your Visual Studio. This is SQL Server Management Studio. Using this studio, you can manage your database. Okay. When you install database engine will be installed in the background, so that would be available as a service for you. And using this Management Studio application, you can interact with your database. You can interact with your database from using this Management Studio. You can write the queries and all. Once the query is executed, it will affect the database which is available in the background. Okay, so when I open my SQL Server Management Studio, it opened like this. Okay, and we got one window here that is connect to server. It is asking connect to server. Okay, here we have to select database engine. We are not going to do with any reporting services or integration services. These are BI related services, business intelligence related services that are we are not going to discuss that part. We are going to discuss database related things. So I'm selecting database engine. Okay, server type database engine I have selected. Next I need to provide server name. By default it has populated. How it is populated? It is actually my system name, desktop-jpg 196b. It is my system name, my laptop name, and /SQL Express. I have installed Express edition of SQL Server. Express edition of SQL Server. So why it has taken SQL Express. So Express edition is a free edition for students and who wants to practice SQL Server. They can go for SQL Server Express edition. It's a free thing. No need to buy any license or anything. Okay. One question: how many of you have installed SQL Server? Anyone tried? If you have installed, maybe you can also try in parallel. Still, otherwise, no issues. No. So you got any problem or you didn't try? No problem. If your system supports, install it. Otherwise, you just remember the concepts and consider the notes. Okay. Okay. Server name. We are talking about the server name, right? So I'm going to connect to the database which is available in my laptop. So why I'm providing my laptop name and I'm providing my database instance, that is SQL Express. Okay. If you are connecting to a database which is available in the same system, same machine, okay, here instead of server name, you can provide server name, you can provide IP address, you can say localhost, or you can say dot also when you are connecting with the database which is available in the same system, okay, same server. Then you can say, you can have multiple options: server name, localhost, IP address, and dot. Anything will work for you. Okay. Most of the times when you are writing your queries, like when it is in the development mode, you will connect to the database which is available in your machine. Okay. But most of the times the database will be in a separate server. In a separate server, database will be installed and they will follow some replications and all. Like high availability things they take care, and they will give you the connection string, how to connect it to the SQL server. Okay, they will give you the details. So when they are giving you the details, generally you may have server name as a server machine name, or you may have the IP address also. Okay, so when SQL server is, when you are trying to connect to the SQL server which is available in another system, another server, here you have to provide the system name or IP address. Okay, system name or IP address always work, even it is available in your machine or it is available in your network. In both the cases, system name and IP address will always work. Okay, next thing is authentication. There are basically two types of authentications. These are not required for us. I don't know why they are enabled. Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. Windows authentication means, see here, when I selected Windows authentication, by default one username is populated and it is disabled here. So when I selected Windows authentication, what happens is, when we are opening your system, when you are logging into your system, you use one user account, right? So if I'm teaching the class using my laptop, I have logged into my laptop. So when I logged into my laptop, there is one user session already available. Okay, one default user session. If you create multiple users, you have to log in with a different user, and when you logged in, you will provide username and password. That user session, that user context will be already there. When you select authentication as Windows authentication, the already logged in user session will be considered. Okay, so when you want to connect using the user account which is already available in your Windows operating system, you have to choose the Windows authentication. Another authentication is SQL Server authentication. If you select SQL Server authentication, you have to provide username and password. Once the database setup is created, as part of security, they will create, the database guys will create some set of user accounts for you. They will give you user account, like as I said, connection string. That connection string will contain what is the server name, what is the type of authentication, and what is the login name, and what is the password. Those four things will be available as part of connection string. Okay, so most of the times, not every user will have, not all Windows users will have the access to the SQL Server, right? There will be one account, one user account, that will be having the access to the SQL Server. That user account will be shared across with you guys. Like we are all working under one team, for example. Instead of providing all the 10 people access to the database, maybe there will be one developer account, dev123, and password is 123, for example, I'm telling. Okay, so that account will be shared with us, dev123 and its password. So we have to provide the login as dev123 and password, whatever the password that is shared. We have to provide that username and password, and we have to say connect. When you say connect, it will open our management studio. Till here, any questions? In my system, I don't remember whether I have created any users, and I don't remember the passwords also. If I have created any user accounts here, I can log in with those user accounts, or I can go for Windows authentication. Okay, I selected Windows authentication and I'll say connect. Okay, server type database engine, I provided the server name, then I selected the Windows authentication. Yeah, any questions to anyone? You can stop and ask me. Is it required for SQL Server if I have XAMPP server? XAMPP means, is it PHP? Mahati, which server it is? Is it related to PHP? Which database you have there? Is it Oracle you have or MySQL? I think that is MySQL. Yes. Okay. So what is your question? Sir, is it required for SQL Server? Not really, actually. You can practice MySQL also, no problem. Concepts will be same. For database queries, most of the times queries will also be similar, but there will be slight difference. So if you are already working with MySQL, you understand the concepts and practice the queries in MySQL only. Okay. Shall we have to use Windows or SQL Server authentication? When you are working on your personal laptop, you can go with the Windows authentication, no problem. When you are working in the real time, based on the instructions, if you have SQL Server account, then you go with the SQL Server authentication, provide username and password. If you don't have SQL Server account and your login account is having permissions on the database, then you can go for SQL Server you can go for the Windows authentication. Okay. For practice purpose, Windows authentication is fine. When you are working at the real time, it depends upon your organization. So if they are okay to share some user account for the developers, you can use the SQL Server authentication, provide the username and password, and log in and do whatever the jobs you want to do. Or they will provide access to your account. So when I logged in one account, I have one account, right? So like that, when you are in the organization, you will be having one NT login account, right? Windows login account. For that account, they will provide the access. So if your account is already having permissions, so you can log in with Windows authentication. It depends. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions so far? Is it clear what we were discussing? Okay. Yes, you can just reply to everyone only. No need to give me private message. Okay, so when I logged into my SQL server, this is how I can see my SQL. I mean Object Explorer. So here, the first node, whatever you are seeing, is the database, the main database. Okay, that is nothing but actually here my server name, my laptop name. This is my laptop name. Actually, desktop-jpj is my laptop name. In real time, it may be your database server name or IP address. It will be showing your IP address based on how you are connecting to the database. It will show you the IP address or server name here, and any server instance is there, SQL instance is there, that will also be shown here. Generally, we can see only IP address and server name here. Most of the times we don't see /SQL Express. Okay, done. Next node is databases node. Here the databases will be there. If I expand this, here all the list of databases will be there. Okay, by default, when you create when you have installed SQL Server, by default you will be having some four system databases. Okay, these are all the default databases. Do not disturb them. Okay, these are the master databases. So master, model, MSDB, and TempDB. These four are the system databases. Okay. Next, here the database you are seeing, DBBooks, DB DemoDB, DemoDB2. These are all the databases created by me. Okay, these are user databases. Okay, if you have any snapshots that will be stored here, that's not a problem. Okay, databases, under the databases you have system databases and user defined databases. Okay, remaining all are not so much required for us. Here we have the security node. If you see here, these are all the logins. I told you about SQL Server management, right? You can create a login here. If you have permissions, you can create a login here, and you can log in to the database using this login also. Say for example, dev, maybe SQL Server authentication, dev. I'll say login name is dev123 and dev123. I provided, and then I have to map actually the roles. Once I create the user, I'll say some server admin. So he will have different database access. So simply I can create one user here by just selecting new login, provide username and password, create username and password, and then here you can set some policies. Like if you see, user must change the password at the next login. Say for example, Praneeth asked me to create one account for him on my database. I created Praneeth and I provided some default password, welcome123, welcome123. I know his password. Okay. After sharing the password to him, I can ask him to update. So if I select this one, user must change the password at next login, and I say okay. When user logs into the database, the previous screen what we have seen, the screen will be visible to him. He has to select SQL Server authentication. He will provide username and password. Once he logged in properly, then it will ask for updating the password or change password. He has to change the password. So it's up to us, like enforce password expiration. So in your machine there will be in your Active Directory somewhere there will be some policies based on the organization. For every 45 days we have to change the password every 40 days or 45 days based on your organization um, policies. Okay, if you uncheck this one, it won't expire, the password will still remain for you. So general user accounts, if I have an account in a database, so that will be expired every 40 days or 45 days based on expiration policies. Okay, sometimes we create service accounts. We create one type of account called service account. The service accounts generally we use in our applications. So for service accounts, it should not expire the password. If you are creating a service account, it should not expire the password. So we will uncheck this one. Okay, so there are some policies if you want to enforce based on your organization, like a change password, consider the password related policies of your organization, expiration you want to force, that kind of things you can select. Okay, but as a developer we don't have to more worry about this part, because this is database admins related job. Generally database admins will take care of this session, like creating users, user roles, providing security and all. Okay, so just for your idea, I have just told you. Like logins, we have roles also. Okay, roles like uh, multiple roles will be there, like admin role, creator role. Each role will have different access to different databases. Uh, like for a set of people, if you want to provide some same kind of access privileges, so you can create one group, you can create one role, add the users to that role, and provide the access to the group. That way it works. Okay, as I'm saying, this part as a developer you don't have to too much worry about this part. This will be taken care by database admins. Okay, but why we need to learn database? Of course there are database admins are there. They will take care of this security part and all. If you want to deploy anything, you have written some queries and you want to deploy those queries, or you have created one stored procedure. So in order to deploy that, so database admins will be helping us. But what is our role? Why as a developer, as a front-end developer or application developer, why you need to learn the database? Any answers? Database developers role will also be there in the organizations. They will help you to write the queries and all. Okay, but if you are going for a medium level or small level organization, you may not have different people with different roles. Okay, sometimes a developer may have to do all the things. You may have to act as application developer, you may have to act as a database developer also. Okay, that is one reason. Another reason is, even though there are admin people, database developers and all, while writing your program, while developing your application, you may have to create the tables. You have to create, not may, you have to create your own tables in your database. I mean your developer machine or your personal laptop given by your organization. You have to create the tables. You have to write your front end code to interact with your database. So all these testings, all this development, if you want to do, you should not always depend upon the other persons. So at least in the development environment, you should be in a position to write your own tables and queries, and then your program should interact with the database. At least you should be in that position. Okay, so it is important to have some idea. So at least you should know how to create a table, how to perform CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete operations. Okay, and next thing is constraints. If you can at least know this part, you can at least manage the database part also, up to whatever the developers are needed. Okay, so while we are talking about database commands, everything here work like a command. Okay, we have to run one command, we have to execute one command, so that based on the command our operations will be performed. So the commands are classified into different types. If you can see my screen, they are known as DDL language, DML language, DRL language, TCL and DCL. Okay, these are different languages we have. Let me talk about each one now. First one is data definition language. Data definition language. Let me show you one table so that you can relate what I'm talking here. Okay, I'm just opening a table. How to create a table, how to retrieve data and all, we will be seeing with examples. Okay, just to understand some theory, I'm just showing one table. Okay, see here, I have just created one table, and this table is having two columns here. ID is one column, author name is one column. Two columns I have here. Okay, and from here to here, whatever the lines I have highlighted, they are the actual data. You can say rows, or you can say the data of the table. The lines like ID and author name, they are the columns of the table. You can call it as a schema also. Okay, so data definition language means it deals with data definition language. It deals with the definition of the table. When I am saying definition of the table, it contains like what is the name of your table and what are the different columns available in your table and what is the data type of each column. So till that part, it is known as the definition of the table. Okay, when you are creating a table, we have to create some columns. When you are creating some columns, you have to provide the column name and you have to provide the data type of the column also. Same like while you are creating a class in your program, you have to create some properties, and for the properties are nothing but variables. For the variables, you will mention data type of the variable also in general programming. Of course, in Python, we don't mention the data type, but in general programming, if you consider any other programming languages, when you are creating a class and when you are creating some variables inside the class, you will mention the data type of the variables, right? In the same way, when you are creating a table, you will be creating some columns. For those columns, you have to mention the data type of the columns. Okay, so this entire thing, so the thing related to definition means columns, number of columns, types of columns, names of columns. This definition kind of things will be dealt by data definition language. At the end, all of them are queries only. All of them are commands only. Okay, you write one query or command, you will execute them, but they're just classified into different types. Okay, so data definition language means it works against create, alter, drop. There are three main commands as part of the DDL: create table, alter table, drop table. Okay, we'll see with examples how to create a table, how to alter the table. While altering, you can add some new columns, you can modify the data types of the columns. Like that, you can perform some operations. And a drop table also, you can delete the table also. Okay, so these are other operations comes under the data definition language. Yeah, data definition language. Okay, next, data manipulation language. Data manipulation language. When we are talking about data manipulation language, if you see the highlighted lines, these are the highlighted lines. These are the lines known as data. Okay, these are the lines, these are the things known as data. The above one is known as the definition. So manipulation, data manipulation means inserting data, updating data, and deleting data. These three. Okay, if you are inserting new data to your table, if you are inserting new rows to your table, that comes under data manipulation language. If you are updating existing data, if you are deleting existing data, these are comes under data manipulation language. If you consider your user management system or inventory management system, we did these operations, CRUD operations. We created user profile, we updated the user profile, we deleted the user profile. Of course, we have done those operations against Python object, Python variable, right? But in database also we will be doing the same kind of things. So we will insert data into database, we will update the data, we will delete the data. So all the operations, all the three operations, the listed three operations you are going to do against your data, that is nothing but data manipulation language. Okay. Next important thing is data retrieval language. Data retrieval. Retrieval means getting the data. Okay. Only one type of command is there as part of data retrieval language. That is nothing but select statement, select command. If you see here, even though I went to somewhere here to the table and I just right clicked and select data. Okay, select the top 1000 rows something. But here if you see, it is finally one command here, one query here. I have written one query and executed the query. Okay, if you see here, what type of query it is? It is a select query. If you are writing select query, that is nothing but data retrieving language. Data retrieving language means select query. Of course, here when you are writing select query, we need to understand so many things here. Okay, what does it mean by top? What does it mean by 1000? What does it mean by ID and author name, comma separated values, and filters? How I can filter using the where condition, and while providing the conditions we have in, or, and so many things are there. Like is there, wildcard search is there, so many things are there. So while we are the retrieval language means simply you can remember the select statement. Okay, you may see it's very simple to like only select statement, but there are so many examples we need to understand as part of select statement. So if I want to get all the columns of the table, if there are 50 columns available in a table, how can I retrieve that? I want to get only specific columns. How can I get? How can I rename the column in the result set, not in the database, like alias names? How can I do that? I want to here, I got all the 5 rows or 4 rows, right? I want to see only specific set of rows. If we see in different data, you may understand. See here, I think here also less data based on the author. Okay, if author is Vamsi, there are some 100 books available in my database. So I want to see books written by the author called Vamsi. How can I get that? Only specific author related books. How can I get that? Okay, how can I get the count of the books written by Vamsi? Like that, so many things we need to understand as part of select statement. Okay, next, transaction control language. In the transaction control language, we have three types of commands again: commit, rollback, and save point. Commit, rollback, and save point. This thing deals with consistency of data. Okay, say for example, by mistake you have written one query. Okay, you are trying to delete maybe in your database you have 1 lakh records, for example. Okay, today for testing your application, you have executed your application and inserted some 10 or 20 records into your database. Okay, while running your program, like a user management system, I have executed. For testing, I have created 10 user accounts. Okay, those 10 user accounts are added to my database. I don't want to keep them. I can delete them using the delete query. I have written one delete query, delete delete from table name, and I want to delete today's data. Okay, but by mistake while executing the query, I did not select the query properly, or by mistake I did not write the query properly. I missed to have the where condition, for example. I missed to have the condition, for example. Condition, if you provide, it will be, the query will be again executed against only few records which are matching the condition. Okay, only for today's documents, I mean records, if I want to execute the query, I'll mention a condition like execute against today's documents. Okay, by mistake I missed to execute the condition. So what happens now? All the 1 lakh records will be deleted. It would be a big data loss. It would be a very big problem for you and for your organization, for your clients, right? So instead of doing that, generally what we do is we will do any update or insert or delete related operations. Those three operations when you are doing insert, update, delete. Okay, when you're doing these operations, what we do is we will create some transactions. We will write some transaction control statements. We write all the code as a block inside the transaction. The advantage is, by mistake, if you have written wrong statements, by mistake, if you have executed the wrong statement, immediately you can roll back the execution. If you execute the rollback for your transaction, all the statements executed by mistake will be rolled back. Okay, by mistake I have executed like a delete table without providing the condition for today. All the 1 lakh items are deleted immediately. If I follow standard way, if I have written my query using the transactions, immediately if I say rollback transaction, what happens is all the 1 lakh records will be back. Okay, they will be available in your database. So it will not commit the data, it will not save the changes. Of course it will execute the queries, but it will not final save the operation until you say commit or rollback or save point. Okay, this is the purpose of transaction control language. Next one is data control language, grant and revoke. So this is used to provide some permissions on specific tables or specific database, like providing granting permissions for a specific user, revoking permissions for a specific user, that kind of things. Generally this is a database admins related job, DCL. Okay, data control language. So it is about permissions. I'm just repeating. Data definition means it deals with the table definition. Table definition, when I'm saying what are the different types of columns you have, what are the different types of data types you need to use for the columns, that part will comes under data definition language. So generally we use create, alter and drop a table. These commands are known as data definition language commands. Next, data manipulation language. Data manipulation means this deals with the rows of the table. Okay, so like inserting the new data, updating the data, deleting the data, that kind of commands. So these are actually commands only. Insert into table name, like that we will write one command. Update table, like delete the table, like that they are commands only. So these commands are known as DML commands. Next, data retrieval language. Retrieval language means select command. So to retrieve the data from a table and to see the result, so we use the data retrieval language. Next, transaction control. So by mistake, to avoid some statements to be executed by mistake, we write transactions. So after proper execution of your code, you can say commit, rollback and save point. Next, data control language, DCL. This is nothing but database admin's role, like granting permissions and revoking permissions, like that. Okay, so once we are good with the SQL languages, next we need to understand the different data types. So once we are good with data types, and we can start creating the database and tables also. Okay, we'll cover this.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, is this part of Python, sir?
It is part of database.
So Python is done, sir.
No, it's not yet done. Still I need to discuss few topics. Because it's a database is a big topic, I have picked up this one. Python is not yet done, so we need to understand database concepts and how to interact with the database using Python. Okay, that will be shown, and we have to talk about NumPy. NumPy is there, multi-threading concept is there, generators is there, okay, decorators is there, and modules is there, regular expressions are there. Okay, there are still some topics.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, you are assuming that Python, we are done with Python and we are jumping onto the database topics?
Yes, sir. I thought it.
No. Around 5-6 topics are still pending. We'll be discussing. one by one. Okay?
What I thought was this is a part of Python, sir. This SQL thing is there, right? I thought this is a part of Python. So,
SQL is part of database actually. It is a common thing. Actually, generally people will not explain database in detail. Just they will take you one class and okay, this is the table, this is the data. How to write Python code to interact with the database, like that they will show you a couple of examples. But I'm taking some time. I just want to brief you few important things, few basic things about the database. So I'm taking a couple of days extra. So this knowledge will help you whether you are placed in Python or any other programming language. Anyhow, you have to deal with the database. So database concepts are same in all the types. So if you are good with the concepts, maybe syntax, if there is any slight difference in the syntax, that you can understand anytime. Okay. Any other questions? Advanced Python is not yet completed, guys. There are few more topics. In the weekend, I want to take some time to discuss about this database. That is the reason why I have considered this. Okay. Monday onwards, we will continue with our regular programs only. If we are good with any questions on this part, of course, it's boring theory, but we will be seeing these examples in real, and a real example we'll be seeing. But before writing the queries directly, at least you should have some introduction. So I'm talking about this. Okay, so this is one thing before going to data types. So can you see this? Can you read this? When database is installed, yes, we have class tomorrow. Yesterday I could not able to take the class, right? So let us cover tomorrow. If everyone says we don't want class tomorrow, okay, fine. But I prefer to have a class. It's up to you guys. If you all need any, you want to, you have any other works or anything, I'm okay. But I prefer to have a class because yesterday also we did not have class, right? Yeah. So see here. So when we install SQL Server, I told you like 4 databases, 4 system databases are already installed and available. They are by default available for us. Okay, they are master database, model database, MDB and MSDB. Okay, master database will contain all the configuration settings for SQL Server management. All the settings related to our SQL Server management will be available under master database. Also, it maintains the credentials and the authentication part also. Okay, master database. Next, model database. It is a template for other databases. Generally, when you create one database, automatically it will create one structure. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. It will create some tables folder, views folder, system programs folder, some structure it will create for you. Okay, how the structure is coming from, where the structure is coming from, that is coming from model database. Model database will contain some templates. Okay, like for tables, for views and all, it will contain the template. When you are creating a table, so based on the template, it will create the object what you are trying to create. Okay, next, TempDB. TempDB, while writing the queries also, it's like your program level logic only. We will be writing some calculations and operations. Those calculations and operations will be executed in the TempDB. TempDB, when you are performing some calculations, we need some space, right? So TempDB space will be used. Okay. Next, MSDB. MSDB will contain schedule jobs and alerts. Schedule jobs and alerts means in SQL Server, you can create some scheduler jobs. Scheduler jobs means you have written some set of statements, some set of queries those queries you want to execute every day. For example, every day at 10 a.m. in the morning, you want to execute some set of statements. Okay, so you can create one scheduler job, and that will be executed every day. So that kind of things, and you can send some alert messages. That kind of things will be stored in the MSDB. Okay, this part, this is just to have some idea. So these are all the different default databases available for us. Okay. Okay, let me create one database and show you what happens here. Okay, so I'm going to databases node here. I'm just right clicking and selecting new database. Okay, it is asking for database name. I'll say demo May. Okay, or DB May batch. So DB May I'm saying. So this would be my database name. If I say OK, owner will be default settings will be considered as owner and other roles. Okay, when I say OK, what happens is here like DB books, demo DB, like this, one more database will be created and its name is DB May. Okay, so before I click on OK, I want to talk about two more things here. See here, what is here? Database files. Okay, database files it is saying, and it is saying its name as dbMay and dbMay underscore log. When you are creating one database in your SQL server, what happens is two files will be created. Okay, two files will be created in your operating system, not operating system, in your program files where the SQL Server database software is installed. There you have one data folder. There two files will be created. I'll show them now. Okay, the path also we have here. See here, C drive, program files, SQL Server, blah blah blah. Here under data, let me copy this path if I can. Second. Okay, two files will be created. Okay, let me say OK for now. So here, see here, DB May is created, is available for me. If I expand, I got some structure. Where this structure is coming from? This is coming from model database. Model database will contain the templates. It will contain the templates. Okay, when you are creating a new database based on the sample template, it will create all the required things. Okay, so creating databases, creating tables, columns, blah blah blah, we can do using the GUI. GUI means like how I have right clicked and I have selected the options, I provided the details, and I'm clicking the buttons. This is known as GUI way. Okay, we can do GUI way. Also, we can write some queries, we can write some commands and execute them, and we can create the database, we can create the tables, blah blah blah. Those operations we can do using the queries also. I prefer you to do using the queries only. So we need to learn the queries. So using UI, if you are doing, you cannot do the same thing with the program, right? If you are able to do the same thing using the query, this query you can use in your Python program. Not only Python, any program. You can use this query if you know how to perform a specific operation using query. The same query you can call from the program, and the program will execute it. If you learn only GUI part, how you can do create the tables and all, that instructions you cannot tell to your program. Okay, so first I want to show you something like I copied that path. I go to that path, DB May, right? See here, I got two files created here, dbmay.mdf, log.lef. Okay, while you are executing your database queries, if there are any logs, okay, the transaction related things and all will be stored in the log file, .lef file. MDF file will contain all your data, all your tables, all your rows, views, stored procedure, everything. everything related to your data will be stored inside this MDF file. Okay, that is one thing I want to talk. Okay, next, for example, how to create one new database. Okay, for that, generally when you open your SQL Server, this will be like this. This will be like this. This is like a blank editor. Okay, I want to execute one query. So here, see here, new query is there. You can click here. So one new query window will be opened here. Here I can write some queries and I can execute. Also, I can save this file like how you are saving your files from PyCharm. In the same way, you can save your files and you can reopen next time when you want, and you can execute the same queries. For example, I want to create a database. Okay, SQL Server is case instance to create a database. Okay, db may _2, for example. Okay, I want to execute this query. How to execute this query? Just select it and you have an execute option here, or just select it, press F5 key, so it will be executed. And remember guys, if you have multiple statements in your query editor here, if you click on execute, it will execute all the statements available in your query editor. Okay, sometimes there will be some after scrolling down, there will be some, if you write some queries, some delete statements or some testing statements, and if you forget, so there is a risk that unwanted statements get also be executed. So the best practice is select the statement and click on the execute. Okay, here we will get the output or messages here. So command completed successfully. I got the command successfully. So if I want this, I can save it, but it's just a create database statement. I don't need it actually. So I can close it. I don't have to save it. Okay, but generally when you're writing any logic kind of thing, when you're writing any stored procedures kind of thing, and you want to reuse some set of statements, then you have to save this file somewhere. Okay, even if I save this file, or even if I don't save this file, or even if I make some changes here, it doesn't matter. Once the query is executed, the database is already affected. Once the query is executed, database is already affected. If I click here, so I can't see the database here. Why? Don't worry, after executing the query, if you don't see the database here, simply just refresh. Okay, it will come here. See here. Okay, when you're doing with the UI, automatically after executing in the background, when you're doing with the UI also in the background, it will execute the query only. Okay, once the query is executed and you're doing with the using UI part, it will refresh the database once. But when you're writing the query, it may not refresh. So if it is not available, just refresh, right click and refresh so that you can see the database here. Okay, clear guys? The queries I'm going to execute will be saved, and I'll share the set of queries for your practice. So this is how to create database. Okay, in SQL Server, hyphen if you are using, that is a command line for you. This is just for your reference. I'm saving, even if it is saved or not, doesn't matter. All the query is executed. Even if you close and open your database, that I mean SQL Server Management Studio, the database will be still available. Okay. Any questions so far, guys?